So can you tell me your name, age, where you're from, and what is your occupation?
Yeah, so my name is Simon. I am 30 years of age, and I'm from Ghent, which is a smaller city in Belgium. And I am a press photographer.
So you've been to many countries. Can you name them, and can you tell us some of your most unique experiences from them?
Yeah. So I studied master's photography, and as my master for photography, my project was on the Syrian revolution, at least on the Kurdish part in the north. So I've been extensively to Syria, and from there it led me to go more in the Middle East area. So I've been Iraq, Lebanon, especially since all the happenings in the Middle East and the violence. I've been in Israel, Palestine as well. Jordan for a little bit. And then outside of that, I've covered I've been also in Mexico covering the Zapatista revolution, as well as the sort of mega projects that are infringing on indigenous lands. I can talk a bit more. That was very special. And then as well, that was my trip last year. I've been to Myanmar to cover the ongoing civil war, which is a bit like the Serbian struggle, completely undercovered. And then, I've been to Serbia. Some of these places I've been many times, and some, unfortunately, only due to budget-wise, I visit once. And my trip before this one was the elections in Bangladesh, which in a similar Gen Z-esque atmosphere, they overthrew the regime, the dictator, and held elections for the first time after 1 year. Yeah.
Okay, so you're in Serbia for some time now, and what do you think that differentiates Serbian protests and all the other protests you witnessed?
Well, maybe I'll compare them mostly to the Gen Z protests, because I think if I have to compare it to other, it will be like a very long story, but I would say it's very similar in many sense. Like, it's young people fighting a corrupt regime, or a corrupt government, or a corrupt illiberal democracy. At least for Bangladesh, I can say that they were very violent. So there was shooting students, beatings, arrests a lot of arrests. And also coming from a place of the universities, where they also, in Bangladesh, also formed political parties. But I have the feeling that the main difference, apart from historical political context, I feel like the students in Bangladesh were, in a sense, I don't want to say co-opted, but the traditional opposition parties, some of which now is ruling the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, which was a bit in exile, at least the leadership, kind of took over, and they used the sentiment, but for their own gain. I mean, let's see what comes out of it. Anyway, dictator is gone, and I feel in Serbia, the Gen Z revolutions are really more on their own, autonomous. They build their own party, or lists or elections. They have a sort of natural mistrust to the existing opposition parties, which I think I can understand also after maybe 13 years of not so active opposition. Yeah.
Okay, so you work in like a media landscape. You're a photojournalist, and do you think that like the position of journalists in Serbia is somewhat different than all the other places you've been to?
Yeah, for sure. I think my colleague Mina Delic, which I've also covered the elections with, even though she only works for she works for local journalism, but she's very active also in independent media and covering the news extensively. I think the way they treated her, like saying that she was racketeering from Spain, supposedly, and an utter smear campaign in the media. I think that it's a very tough place for journalists. I mean, when I walked into this place, she even told me that this place had been raided before. That would be utterly insane in Belgium, for example, or it does happen, but it would happen to minority medias or something, but not extensively and not on a scale that I think happens here, and as in journalists we should criticize. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what about the police? Is it any different than Bangladesh, for example?
Though I've only seen here out of video the police action, so I can't say I've witnessed it myself. So, but from what I've seen, for example, in Kula, I would say that, for example, when they were confronted with this case of a double list, it would be a very slow procedure to check the bag, not check the bag, check the car, don't check the car. I mean, I saw many instances of like where they only did half their job, I don't know. And as well, when we found like a bar in Kula where they were clearly people covering their face, doing like this, going in the bar, staying there 20 minutes, leaving, arriving in groups. So it seems that some kind of organized way they came there and left. Police came to the scene, talked to them instead of the students, and students were also not allowed in this bar. So it seems that it's as if they're not protecting something, there's something fishy going on. And as well, near the evening, it was they were blocking for no reason the whole municipality building, whilst there was no real threat. I mean, at that point, there were more police than civilians, and press was not allowed to see. So we asked them, can we see that the bags are leaving the cars? We had to check from a real distance, so maybe something happened, we don't know. As for the violence, I think I've seen in videos, excessive use, illegal use of sound cannons, excessive violence reported even against journalists, protecting what seems to be hooligans. Even that happened in Kula as well. Like, then I'm questioning the independence of the police as well as their duty to protect journalists, protect people, but their main function should be, I think, if I might just say. But
yeah, so coming from a country that is called like the heart of European Union, Belgium, what do you think can be changed in like the media landscape, for instance?
In Serbia or in Belgium? Or no?
In Serbia.
In Serbia, yeah.
Comparing to Belgium.
I would say in Belgium we have a good solidarity between journalists. There is a very strong journalist union that's also independent, and they are the ones also giving the credentials for the press card. I don't know how it works here, but it's not maybe it's per media or it's a union, I don't know, but the union is completely independent from the state. I think that's an utter requirement for a free press. If that's not the case, I think it probably should change. As for the rest, I think a media should always be able to, even if it's state-controlled, private-controlled, be independent, free, and according to the deontology of IFPJ, like the International Federation for Press Journalists. Apart from that, they should be guaranteed their safety and not be harassed or smeared, or be able to do their job freely.
Okay, so you've been to Mexico, you mentioned earlier. How is it different or similar to the Serbian situation?
To make a direct comparison is a bit hard, but I would say that at least, because for example, today I interviewed someone who's very active in protests surrounding Rio Tinto, the whole mining issue. And I found, I think, some similarities maybe there, in the sense that what is framed and told to the people as it will be positive, it will make you richer, it will do this. But for example, in Mexico, there is a project, it's called Tren Maya. And it's a railway that will basically be able to move from, I forget the one city, but it will connect two cities, major hubs of tourism. And so it's sold as tourism will be faster, we will need to make the plane less, it will be environmentally friendly, whilst the train is cutting down a huge amount of forests, it's stealing indigenous lands. And the real reason they built it, it's because the ownership of the train is not fully by the state, it's more by the army, it's army run. So all that money goes just to military ends, which is then used to further repress locals who would resist. And it's basically also just to easier move capital, product, services, I don't know. And as well, they are continuing this train from one side of the ocean to the other, so the Atlantic and the Pacific. And the US is funding this project immensely as well. This would again be a military facility, so that would, in essence, you could make a parallel, move the border US-Mexico to the middle of nowhere in a military-controlled, fenced-off trainway, so that migrants are not faced with a free American press, but with harsh Mexican militarily owned. So they can say, a migrant is coming, he's on military terrain, we have the right to. So in many sense, like this corruption that is sold as a project, a renewal. I mean, I can perfectly imagine that the government here was talking about the renovation of Novi Sad train station, and it will be prosperous, it will look better, all these things. But at the root of it, it's about who gets money and who has more power, I guess. But I don't know so much about the specific projects in Serbia. I've not been here so long, but for sure the mining is a very obvious one. If people are not told, as from what I got the information today, that they will receive direct benefits from the mine, then who benefits?
Okay, as a young journalist, since you're only 30, what would you say to our colleagues in Serbia?
Keep it up. I think I'm a bit also ashamed, really, to say that we are so few from Europe to come visit Serbia to cover this. I would say continue your work, expose and tell what needs to be told. And as a journalist, at the end of the day, as an independent journalist, you have the utter duty to protect democracy, fair elections, a voice for people, to expose where things are corrupt. So I think you are doing your job, you are doing it well, without any malicious or contempt towards anyone, but you are exposing a reality, and I would say continue that beautiful, inspiring work. Yeah. You are teaching us journalists in Europe. I don't really have anything to teach you, I think.